With God of War Ragnarok coming out soon, and of course we being super excited for this, especially following the events and story from the previous game that we can't wait to see what happens for ourselves. Well, recently there's been new preview footage, new gameplay details to talk about, others online talking about their experiences at the beginning of the game from the review copies that's been given out, as well as some poor soul on Twitter accidentally leaking screenshots from within the game. So we have plenty to talk about with this one if you're excited for this new upcoming God of War game. If you do enjoy these kind of videos, definitely show support by clicking like down below because it really does help us out, and subscribe and click the bell because we have content planned every day that you definitely don't want to miss. We've recently been talking amongst ourselves about which character from either the old God of War games or Norse mythology in general that we would love to see in this new game. So tell us in the comments, what would you love to see in God of War Ragnarok? First up though, let's talk about the latest oopsie made by a user on Twitter with an early review copy of the game. We won't share the images, but essentially they had their Twitter account linked to their PlayStation account to automatically post screenshots from within the game itself. And although Sony has not officially commented on it, Sony do seem to know about it, as Sony Santa Monica creative director on Twitter has posted this funny tweet shortly after it happened. Anyhow though, let's get into the exciting part, the gameplay details. The actual story of the game will take place 3 years after the events of the previous game. Fimbulwinter, a great winter that spans over 3 summers long, is drawing to a close, which will then begin the prophesized Ragnarok. Kratos and his teenage son Atreus begin to traverse the 9 realms to seek out a means to prevent Ragnarok from happening. And this next part is a big spoiler if you didn't play the first game, so fair warning. They're also attempting to uncover answers behind Atreus' second identity as Loki. Their journey will lead them to Tyr, the Norse god of war, who was believed previously to be dead. Their conflict will also lie with Thor, the Norse god of thunder, who seeks revenge following the death of his half-brother Balder, as well as his 2 sons, Modi and Magni. There's also implications with Thor's father and king of the Norse gods, Odin, as well as your ally turned enemy Freya, who seeks revenge following the death of her son Balder. So a lot of conflict and beef is going to happen between these god tier characters, which I think we can all agree is going to be super exciting to see how it unfolds. When it comes to people who have hands-on with the game currently, there are details being shared from roughly the first 6 hours of the game, some of it saying it feels like a bit of a recap within that start period of the game. At the start of the game, you of course have Kratos, his now teen son Atreus, as well as the severed head of Mimir. The game actually catches you up on what happened in the previous title, as well as what happened in the interim period between the last game and this new one. For the first couple hours of the game, there's lots of brooding, walking around and talking between characters, as well as a meeting with Brock and Sindri, the dwarves, which then transforms the game into more of a free roam, semi-open world to explore. Over at GameSub, they described this as what we thought was going to be a very linear rollercoaster ride of a blockbuster action game ended up being far more RPG-like and focused on the freedom, with plenty of downtime for you to just enjoy the enlightening conversations between characters as you explore the world and discover its secrets. On top of this, as Kratos, you have your trusty Leviathan axe, shield, and the Blades of Chaos from the start of the game, although reset to level 1. However, there is more customization for your shield as you play through the game, as well as a new charge attack for both your axe and blade that delivers a powerful status-inflicting attack by holding triangle. There is also word on lots of side tasks being included in the semi-open world, including puzzles, hunting for treasure, and finding resources that you can find as you explore off the main path areas, and some are saying they do reward you for your curiosity. It's also been confirmed that Ragnarok will feature a whole bunch of accessibility options. Some of them include vastly improving the subtitles as well as the captioning options from the previous game, like changing the text size and color, as well as adding things like in-game cinematic sound effect captions. Players will be able to use the new options to assist with things like navigation, traversal, as well as audio cues, so if accessibility is important to you, there is a lot more added when it comes to that. It's worth noting that the PS5 version is set to be over 90 gigabytes, while the PS4 version is going to be around 118 gigabytes, so make sure you have plenty of space free on your consoles. While playing, there's also going to be 4 modes that will affect both the resolution and frame rates of the game. For those looking for a high resolution mode in 4K, there is one that's locked at 30 FPS and another at 4K locked at 40 FPS that you can switch between based on how you prefer the performance. As for players who would rather focus on the performance rather than graphical quality, there's a 60 locked FPS mode and a targeting 120 locked FPS mode. So it looks like there's something for everyone when it comes to focusing on the performance or the resolution or the FPS, which we love to see. Within the semi-open world, during the starting period of the game, people have also found environmental objects that they couldn't interact with, leading people to believe that we can expect lots of Metroid-style backtracking through these areas once you find brand new pieces of gear to move these obstacles. Some are speculating on it being new weapons as well. It's also not just in the title of the game, but Ragnarok is coming, and with that is dramatically changing areas of the different realms that we've previously visited. It's not been shown just yet, but we can expect the areas that we've previously seen before in the past game to be quite different as we go forward and progress through this new one. When it comes to the enemies though, the AI for them is going to be more advanced, allowing them to use the environment, climb ledges, and more. There's also going to be a lot more larger bosses and variety within those bosses than there was in the last game. For both your attacks and finishers, there's going to be more animation and gore than previously, including the use of weapons during the finishers, not just Kratos' bare hands. Furthermore, new attacks focused on verticality such as jump slams are also more of a focus in this new title. To upgrade your weapons and have access to a new lost and found style system to recover your lost resources and loot if you miss them will be found at Brock and Sindri like in the previous title, although that new lost and found system is definitely a nice touch. For your shield though, there's actually new customization options, including 2 new varieties that you can pick. One larger shield focused on tanking and slamming back, and another one focused on parries. So depending on what your strength is, you can pick a shield depending on your playstyle. When it comes to traversal, there's set to be a boat as well as a wolf-dragged sled, so depending on the realm you're in, you're going to have access to different travel methods. So there's a lot to talk about, and there's so much more in the game. We can't wait to get hands on ourselves. If you want to see more from us, then definitely do click subscribe down below and click the bell, because you can expect more God of War here on the channel. And do click like if you found something interesting in this video, because it really does help support us. The 2 videos on screen now we think you might really enjoy if you did find this one interesting, helpful, or thought-provoking. You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you did enjoy this one, you'll probably enjoy these ones too. Tell us what you think after watching though in the comments down below.